Thank you for that very generous introduction. I must say I have a very tough act to follow for two reasons. Firstly, it's after lunch, and secondly, it's after Ria. Because just like she was looking to find things but with a blindfold, can you imagine how we all were in education over the last 2 years with the blindfold, right? We were all also trying to look for things. But of course, if we had your genius, Ria, we might have solved for problems faster. But it gives me great pleasure to be here in this very august gathering. And actually, what I want to talk about is broadly, I hope you guys are able to see the slides, but essentially, if you think about the last 2 years and what the pandemic did to this sector, we've essentially got a situation where over a quarter of the world's population has been trying to learn digitally, right? And when you think about what this has done to learning, and of course our ability to skill and find jobs and going forward, I think amongst a few things that life has changed so dramatically, learning and skilling is one of them. You all would agree. And therefore, what I want to talk about is how we think at Ed4All and Adi Group, which is a global conglomerate now, and we're looking at education in a very serious way, as not just a learning situation or a skilling thing, but it's actually a building of the infrastructure, right, going forward. So, if you think about it, actually I probably moved, yes. So, I think there are two things to this, right? If you move the next slide, you'll see that there is the fact that for people to be employed, you need to actually make them employable, right? And that hopefully will lead to jobs, right? Which is the key part of this whole thing. And therefore, if you think about what the classrooms would look like of the future, it's not just about having technology in a classroom, but also technology around it, so that you can have a whole bunch of people who can now interact with the teacher, the learner, etc., right? So, in a nutshell, what you have is a global village of learning, but then all hooked up digitally, right? Now, obviously there's a whole bunch of details there, but I'll make it simple for you, that we think that if learning, skilling, and jobs has to be created now over the next decade or two, this is going to require a very detailed architecture, right? An architecture that's going to call for very robust interaction with the educator, learner, and of course, then to enable them to go out to get jobs, etc., right? So, in a nutshell, something like this is going to mean very much like how it is to build roads or ports, etc., right? I mean, in our view, education is the new infrastructure and digital is the new highway. And therefore, how we're approaching education at Ed4All is not just bringing a tuition platform or a coaching platform or just another set of add-ons for a student to get equipped. This is the key. We want to collaborate with each one of you, institutions, government, regulators, where we want to co-invest. We want to be able to bring technology so that at the end of the day, we have a road that everybody can drive on seamlessly. And hence, what we see, this is education plus skills leading to jobs is actually an infrastructure thing and not a learning thing or just a skilling thing, right? So, in other words, one of the things that we want to follow very much is the National Skills Quality Framework. So everything we do in terms of skilling will be based on NSQF, and therefore anyone who's on our platform actually can become certified at the end of the day, right? Data, which is this at the heart of this, essentially means that everything we do with the educator, the learner, the institution, and the parent that I was talking about earlier will need to be monitored through data and analytics so that we can deliver outcomes. Delivery of outcomes, outcomes as in learner outcomes, teaching outcomes, skilling outcomes. These are going to be key, and this is what data will do to monitor it. Yeah? Let me move to the next one. This is, of course, how we want to bring certifications, used in blockchain, because as we all know, there's a fair amount of skepticism when it comes to credibility of certifications. So we want to make sure that there's blockchain-based technology leading to this. Yeah. We want to partner with industries and companies and institutions to make sure there is a robust ecosystem that we're working with. Yeah. Now, there's a lot of words out there, but I'll try and make it very simple for you all. In a very short span of time, we set up the company only in 2020, but we've invested a fair amount behind it, along with our partners, Microsoft, and then on the back of that, we brought Hitachi, and then Lenovo, and we're adding others like British Council, Christ University, etc. And today we have about 2.5 million learners on our platform, which is about 25 lakhs. We are adding about almost 4,000 to 5,000 a day. And our vision eventually is to have at least 17 crore learners across India on our platform. And the reason we're able to do this so confidently is, number one, the fact that we're willing to make the investment behind building out the digital infrastructure, which is going to be in the order of magnitude of several $billion as we go forward. Secondly is the fact that we want to partner with governments at the core, because we believe that today any government that needs to deliver education as a right, as a fundamental right, does not have the capital to do so. So I think it's wrong for us to expect that only government should be doing this. Yes, they need to deliver this, but we as a partner to government want to enable them to do this. And this is the first big investment we made already in NIOS. We're now in discussions with several states across the country to be able to accelerate those investments. So we'd love to see how we can collaborate with you all, because I think there's a great opportunity working with the institutions in the higher education sector for us to be able to accelerate this. So this is really what we mean by the public-private partnership that we're driving. This is what the platform looks like. I just want to show one thing that I maybe skipped very quickly, is we are not going to be delivering or building content ourselves, right? We want to partner with firms across the globe, and most importantly in India, like the ones we picked, Christ University. We want to pick other universities in India who can now bring their content to us. So it's not just core skills, we also want to bring soft skills, skills that enable a learner to have business etiquette, business English, business communication, etc., right? And of course then digital skills and so on. So I think the idea being that on the back of us curating these skills with content and learning on our platform, with of course digital assessments and exams, right? Exams is going to be super important for us to be able to deliver this digitally, because now a student can take exams from home on their device with remote proctoring, and therefore brings credibility as well, right? This is what the overall platform looks like, everything from communication all the way to being career ready. This is what it looks like at the moment. Yeah, and I'll just skip to the jobs. Yeah. So ultimately, the reason for us to do all this is we want to be able to deliver jobs. I think making sure that India's youth are employed is at the heart of what we set out to do. And this we will do through a combination of two things. One is to foster entrepreneurship. So we'll do this through bringing capital, venture capital, in every district of India to embed entrepreneurs in districts in tier 2, tier 3 towns. But on the back of giving them skills, in a panel I spoke today earlier about how something like cash, how a student in class 6 can learn how to manage cash, right? It's a very important part of being an entrepreneur, right? And we'll bring skills like those to make sure that a learner is equipped to run her own business when she graduates from school even, not necessarily college, yeah? But those who want to actually go and find jobs, we want to then work with the likes of NSDC to build the most advanced skills and jobs matching platform that would then enable people to be employed based on the certifications and the skills and the content that they've learned from our platform in partnership with you all. Yeah? So just I'll skip this in the interest of time. This is just what we've done with NEOS up to now, the case study that we've got. These are some of the advocacy campaigns that we ran, across the 2.5 million learner base of NEOS to make sure that our platform is inclusive. I mean, think about it. We are offering the full year's education for a class 12 student with certification at a cost of 1,500 rupees, 1,500 rupees, right? It's world-class education, world-class skills that enables a learner to be educated and employed. And that's what I mean by saying we want to build an inclusive platform. Yeah? And this is not like one of those trial offers, you pay 1,500, it goes up to 15,000. This is 1,500 for life. Because my belief is if we need to get every one of those learners in tier 2, tier 3 rural towns. I mean, believe it or not, when I traveled across India a couple of years ago, there are still villages in India where there's women who are illiterate. There are villages that have 0% women literacy. 0. And we're living in the 21st century, and we aspire to be a first world nation. Right? So the only way to do that is to bring world-class education, not at the cost of $1.5 lakh, but at 1,500 rupees. And I think this is what I say to you all. We have the technology now, we have the platform, we have the partners, and if we can work with you to build the right customized content in your markets, and for you to bring the learner database that you have, the learner population, just think about what we can do with this country. Thank you.